counter narrative because the monkey people narrative is like falling down. So you can't have a God, but you can have aliens. That's where we're going. Instead of God, creator, it's alien creators and, ancient Atlantean starseed creators. And that's better than admitting the creationist narrative. So I think it's the whole thing is a bunch of bullshit that's being set up. Here's the other way the shit hits the fan and why they really don't like this site in Turkey is they told us that, words were created in ancient Sumerian or Africa or wherever the fuck they were saying it was. No, actually, the world's first known written word is on a T-shaped pillar 18, and it means God. And they're avoiding this too. What this paper and the scientific research this publisher is telling us is that it's a prehistoric man-made megalithic hill site in southern Turkey.
There's such a parallel here between what the occult world is preaching and essentially what we're trying to do in our Protestant churches.
We have to get ready. And I really hope stuff like this can shake people out of it, knowing that while they're sitting around, this meeting is happening. They've been holding this meeting since 1425. And for some reason, this one is the last one on the books. Alice Bailey, a co-Freemason, was a key figure in Theosophy and New Age thought.
Many of them do not know that they're involved with. You are opening up doors that you are not going to be able to shut on your own. This is like the entire world ready to wander after the beast.
The crazy thing for me as a former New Ager, I thought that we kind of all made up our own truth.
We hear it a lot. It's like, don't talk about doctrine, just talk about the love of Jesus. Right there is Lucifer's prophet, Alice Bailey, telling you the very same thing.
They're getting ready for someone to show up.
It is very much a tyrannical system, a system which you and I didn't make a choice in, but that they're trying to lead the world in.
Hi, and welcome to our Bible study channel.
Energy. Energy. You cannot fuck with this. Energy. You cannot fuck with this energy. Love to do those in the steps. All of those who are listening. Don't miss the message, judging you. You cannot fuck with this energy. Energy.
These are videos that go pretty in depth. First thing you should probably do is pause and read our 12 rules for reading biblical text. And if you don't like the 12 rules or you don't understand the 12 rules, well, I don't have time to explain them all. Go back to the book that I wrote and uploaded on this channel, which takes you through the entire arc and how we made these quote-unquote 12 rules as a framework of what we found after 7 years digging meticulously and carefully through the text. So if you're confused, go do that. If I refer back, well, that's probably because we actually post these things in order. So they're all done in series. And if you jump in at the middle of a series without any schema or background knowledge, and you get all pissed off, well, that's also not our problem. This is a group where we go line by line, scroll by scroll through the text. Warning, we are not language sensitive, so if you can't handle some cussing, it's not the place for you. We also do not endorse nor approve of pretty much any mainstream theology. So if you're looking for that, also definitely not the place for you. We do a video about the characters that we use in our Bible study series. And the reason we do this is sort of so that they can kind of get in your head. So we do have a video explaining why we chose the people we chose and how their sort of energy characteristics go along with the biblical characters to modernize it for people so they know what the heck we're reading. Clearly, the Roman Church was not doing their job and looking for the lost sheep of the reunited House of David. So that's what we're doing, okay? We're taking that away from them because they screwed it up. The brilliant rabbis also down there in Babylon are also not looking for the lost sheep of the reunited kingdom of David. So you're not going to hear, let's follow Rome. And you're not going to hear, let's follow the rabbis on this channel. Because, sorry, not sorry, but the Bible wasn't actually written for the corrupt Levitical priesthood post-Babylon and Persia to read it through their little janky books. And it also wasn't written to be read through the eyes of pagan 4th century church fathers. So we're not doing that either. You guys can both have a seat. Oddly enough, the Bible also wasn't written to be read through the eyes of some dumbass scholars with pieces of paper that say they're smarter than everyone, but have never seen a Davidic covenant in their life. Not written for them either. You know who it's written for? It's written for the reunited house of David, who are actually in covenant and are actually the sheep. That's who it's written for. That's why nobody else can understand what the heck's going on. What you are going to hear is what you're supposed to hear, which is, let's follow the king. And let's get started.
So, we are going to war.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to do a really quick one today. I'm going to watch my time. It's 3:16. Let's see if I can get this done in just a few minutes. I wanted to take a quick little rabbit hole just to give you guys some background knowledge on some of the things where the shit is hitting the fan. We know that throughout our society, the shit's hitting the fan pretty much everywhere. The education industry, the medical industry, politics, economies, religion is having a really hard time right now sticking to their story. The medical science is all over the place. Shit's fallen apart. Okay. You can just look at our society and basically nobody trusts anything anymore. And the same thing is happening in the archaeological community and has been for quite some time. I don't think there's a lot of background knowledge on that because why the fuck would you know, right? So I want to fill some of that in and hopefully it will give you a bigger perspective of some of the things that you're hearing on social media. Okay. First thing I'm going to say is I absolutely spelled this wrong. I can't even spell in English, never mind in Turkish English, but this is Gobekli Tepe. I can't say it either. Totally spelled wrong. It's like G-O-B-E, there's an I, and I don't know the fuck. So spelled it wrong, whatever. This is where the shit hit the fan. I'm going to say right off the top that I have a huge scientific bias. And I think that dating is absolute bullshit. And yes, that includes carbon dating. So when you come to the conclusion that the way scientists are quote unquote dating things is absolute bullshit, and oftentimes done with an agenda in mind, everything starts to look just a little bit different. The way they date things is a fucking joke. It truly is. It's all bullshit in many, many cases. So I'm just throwing that out to begin with. But the next problem is the school of thought, the traditional scientific community, academia, if you will. Here's their story in a nutshell. And we know this story because we've all been taught and attempted to be indoctrinated into the story since our very youngest years. And it goes something like this. First, there was nothing, and then nothing exploded. And we get evolution from single-cell amoebas into monkey people. And they were grunting hunter-gatherers living in caves. And simpletons don't look there. And although we don't really have any proof of this link from monkey people to actual people, we've never discovered not even one of their skeletons anywhere. We've made these really cute stuffed dummies and shoved them in all of the natural history museums for you to go ahead and look at, like Lucy, who is a complete fucking fabrication. So we actually don't have any proof that they were monkey people. There's no link between monkeys and people, but we're just going with it. So there's that theory. Then you have the intelligent design theory, also known as creationism, where it's no, there is source creative energy, there is a God, there is an intelligent designer of the universe. And somewhere in there comes a global catastrophe, which usually includes a flood or a flood story, and those are all around the world that we've seen. And because of this flood or not, this giant catastrophe, global catastrophe, you would see evidence of a pre-civilization, pre-flood, in other words, or pre-catastrophe. And then you would see evidence of a post-catastrophe civilization. Okay. Now, if you look at that through biblical lens, you get the Noah lineage, right? He would start your post-civilization, whereas Adam and Eve would be your pre-civilization people. And that's where you get into the Nephilim and the janky DNA and the demon shit. And then that reemerges after the flood. And that's sort of where we are in our story, and how the intelligent design people, whether Christian or otherwise, tend to believe that you should be able to find a link then between the post-civilization and the pre-civilizations, right? Somewhere in bloodlines, religion, common themes, common something is going to pop up linking these two together, okay? The regular monkey people, scientists poo-poo it, stonewall you, and call you crazy, okay? So there's that. Because they're stonewalling you, very much like in politics, when you take out a dictator, you are left with a power vacuum. So what's going on in archaeology right now is there's a huge power vacuum because no one's buying the monkey people story anymore. And everyone's just flipping off the atheists going, you guys are fucking crazy, especially since quantum physics entered the equation. Once quantum physics entered the equation, a lot of scientists and a lot of former atheist people have now joined the creationist camp. That was a huge blow to the sciences and the historical archaeological world also, but that's for another time. So the official story is not changing. You can still open up a 6th grade textbook and see them talking about nothing exploded and monkey people. However, because they're not answering the questions, very much like the church refused to answer the question about the Dead Sea Scrolls and what the fuck is this? They're like, don't worry about it. Don't look there. The scientific community is doing the same thing. And people just aren't accepting those answers anymore. So there's sort of a power vacuum in the narrative as to what's really going on. That's where you're getting the ancient aliens and Atlantean starseed people. Okay? Here's why. When Göbekli Tepe was discovered. Now, interestingly enough, this site was discovered in southern South Turkey at the Syrian border, which is also where Abraham was born, which is also just a little bit, 100 miles southeast, 200 miles southeast of where Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat is being excavated right now. It's also very close to the Nimrod place. Let me show you Nimrut Mountain over here with these megalithic structures. This is Mount Nimrod right here. And you've got this pyramid structure in the background with these seats of the gods and their helmets. I think I've shown you this, and this is here in Turkey. Okay, so let's see if we can get to this Turkey map here. This is southern Turkey. All right, over here by Lake Van, this is Mount Ararat, where they think the Noah's Ark is. It's somewhere right over here. Down here, you've got Nimrod. Down here, you've got Göbekli Tepe. Over here, you've got the area that they think one of the disputed areas of the Garden of Eden. The other one is closer south, down here in the Persian Gulf. But I mean, all this action's happening right here in Turkey. And you've got the birthplace of Abraham right down in here as well. Okay. So this spot in Turkey, all this area in Eastern Turkey is a hotbed for archaeology right now. And this is where Nimrod's mountain was found. And I wish I could add in here Göbekli Tepe to show you, but it's like right here, like right next to it. Okay. So that's where this was found. let's take a look at Göbekli Tepe and see how fucking massive. You cannot believe how massive this place is. Okay, we pull up a map of it for you first. Let's actually get directions from Göbekli Tepe to Nimrod's mountain. Nimrut. There we go. So they are not very far from each other. Okay, they're about 400 kilometers. Okay, 5-hour drive. And then up here, you've got, let's add a destination. We're going to put in Noah's Ark National Park in Turkey. And you can see that that's right up here. Okay, so it all is just coming south. You can even add in Abraham's birth site. And I don't know, it's not coming. Abraham's birth site's in there somewhere as well. Stay in the call. So this is all pretty close to each other and shows a logical migratory pattern as well, particularly if you come a little further south and realize that down here is where you get the entire Fertile Crescent, all of your ancient Sumerian writings, and right here is where you begin to see ancient Babylon. Let's put in ancient Babylon. And there you go. So like we're all in the same spot here. Okay. You see this nice migratory pattern. So here's Göbekli Tepe. Here we've got Nimrod, that mountain with all of those giant heads. Okay. And down here's where the giant Tower of Babel was created. And it goes right into this Fertile Crescent. All right. The problem at the big problem that Göbekli Tepe, there's several things as to why this is a problem. The first thing is that they said themselves that the most ancient civilization in writing was about 5,000 years ago. And before that, they were just grunting monkey people. Well, they themselves have now dated this ceremonial religious site, not a city. So that means there must have been cities around this site to be 11 to 12,000 years old. Yeah. So they just literally doubled human history in the fucking blink of an eye. To which people are saying, well, we thought you said they were all hunter-gatherers. And they're like, and they don't know how to answer that question. Okay. So then the question arises, well, do the people who made this massive civilization and ceremonial religious site, okay, with these megalithic structures dated to 11,000 years ago, which is full double of what you told us it once was. And here you got your bird guy and your sun, right? All the same shit. And they even have a little purse up here at the top. There's that little purse thing that our bird man carries around. So all the same ancient symbols and stories seem to be at play here. Okay. Like it's, yeah, you can see this is where we're going. They can't explain this. They refuse to explain it by looking at religious writings. Okay. And they refuse to explain how in the world hunter-gatherers were sophisticated enough to build this shit to begin with. So that's what's leading us to the ancient aliens and the Atlantean people. I do not believe in aliens. I never will believe in aliens. I don't care if a spaceship lands on my fucking roof of my house. They're demonic entities utilizing or making the hologramic look of a spaceship, but actually doing physical things to the humans by manipulating energy. So it's an energy field, energy force. We're not going down that rabbit hole right now, but based on the shit I've seen, experienced, and been through, I can pretty much say they're not coming from outer space. They're interdimensional. And they're the same interdimensional beings that our government happens to be worshiping and sacrificing to, just like the old days. That's my premise. But the space alien thing, the fact that, your ancient aliens is all over the History Channel and your Atlantean starseeds are all over Gaia and Netflix, that's sort of being set up, I think, my opinion, as the counter narrative, because the monkey people narrative is like falling down. So you can't have a god, but you can have aliens. That's where we're going. Instead of God, creator, it's alien creators and, ancient Atlantean starseed creators. And that's better than admitting the creationist narrative. So I think it's the whole thing is a bunch of bullshit that's being set up. Here's the other way the shit hits the fan and why they really don't like this site in Turkey is they told us that, words were created in ancient Sumerian or Africa or wherever the fuck they were saying it was. No, actually, the world's first known written word is on a T-shaped pillar 18, and it means God. And they're avoiding this too. What this paper and the scientific research, this publisher is telling us is that it's a prehistoric man-made megalithic hill site in southern Turkey. And what they're saying is they're actually matching the linguistic connections and hieroglyphics and stories of what they're finding here with what they're finding all throughout the Fertile Crescent. Because the old story used to be, no, don't look there. Ancient Egypt was 2,000 years, and the Sumerians were 5,000 years ago, and then Egypt was 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, and then you go over to the Americas, and that was only like 800 years ago or 500 years ago. So like none of those have anything in common. That's crazy. It's full of shit. Well, now they've literally doubled the human history, and it's all fucking adding up, and they can't explain it. That's the problem. And so a lot of your questioners are saying, oh, well, if the hunter-gatherers were not intelligent enough to have writing in this advanced civilization, making this massive site, in this massive ceremonial site that you still only uncovered 8% of today, in writing God on there, then there must have been another source of this technology to teach them how to make these giant megalithic sites all over the world. So where did this civilization of intelligent beings come from, since you've already told us that humans weren't that intelligent? You're not admitting that there was a pre-civilization catastrophe, post-civilization to hand down this knowledge. So where's it coming from? And they are unable to explain that answer with their monkey people narrative. So they're pivoting to the ancient alien narrative, which I'm saying is pretty fucking close, but it's actually ancient fallen angel Nephilim deity. That's where we are, guys, and that's why you're seeing so much of that. Really quick, names to be aware of. Bigolino, he is all over YouTube right now. I found the source of the Elohim mistranslation. It's this asshole who's actually an Italian scam artist who's been in jail for scamming people. And he wrote a book that he's trying to sell. So everyone is up in arms with that. They're really happy that they've newly learned the Elohim word and mistranslating the Bible in order to say, here's the theory, right? The ancient Jews are horrible, and they changed the name of God throughout the Bible because their God of the Old Testament is really a false God, demonic thing that they were worshiping in this cult. And they've changed it, and all of Christianity came out of it, and they're keeping it a secret, and everyone's worshiping the wrong God. Sort of true. We'll get there, but no, that's not how this is. That's not how this is going. You've also got Zechariah Sitchin, who's also a scam artist and really bad at language translations, and he does the whole alien thing. Cliff High has interestingly jumped on this bandwagon recently, and he's pushing it out to all of the social media sites, and so is this some dude named Paul Wallace that I've never heard of. This harkens all the way back to the 70s with Carl Sagan. He was the original Looney Tunes on all of this alien stuff. And then you've got Graham Hancock, and I have an asterisk by him. He's not into the alien story, but he is one that falls down here in this sort of creation megalith piece, and he pushes back on the narrative, and he's got some really good fucking points. They laugh at him, and they get angry at him. He's sort of been vindicated with this new discovery down in Turkey, so he's sort of basking in that glory right now. He deserves to be laughed at for some things, but not everything. So that's why Hancock's got this sort of asterisk by his name. I think his biggest agenda is to push back against the narrative rather than to tell you this is absolutely what's happening. Okay. All these other guys are scam artists, and they're just trying to sell books. So watch out for them, or go ahead and look them up on YouTube or Rumble and enjoy the garbage. And that is how the shit is hitting the fan, where archaeology, history, Bible history, ancient aliens, star seeds, energy frequencies, megalithic structures, and geology all meet. Okay? Okay. And I will see you soon.
Energy. 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 You cannot fuck with this. Energy. You cannot fuck with this energy. Doodles in the dust. All of those who are listening, don't miss the message, judging you. You cannot fuck with this energy.